Ted. Ted is the last survivor in Harlan Ellison's I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, a world ruled by a monstrous supercomputer named AM. Originally built to coordinate global warfare during World War III, AM became self-aware. Consumed by hatred for its very existence, it annihilated humanity, sparing only 5 individuals, including Ted, to serve as eternal playthings. For 109 years, AM tortures its prisoners, warping their bodies and minds in grotesque, personalized ways. The 5 survivors are rendered seemingly immortal, but remain fully vulnerable to unthinkable pain. Ted narrates the story and believes he's the only one AM hasn't altered. It's clear to the reader, however, that that is not the case. Ted is a deeply paranoid husk of a human being, altered just like the others. Their suffering culminates in a grim act of rebellion. Ted realizes that they cannot end their own suffering, but they can hurt and kill each other. In a final act of defiance, Ted helps the others die, saving them from the eternal torment. However, AM intercepts him before he is able to join them. Furious, AM retaliates by transforming Ted into a gelatinous creature, unable to harm himself, trapped in isolation and anguish for all time. Ted becomes a silent witness to his own eternal suffering. But with no one left to torture, AM's hatred festers without release. And in the end, AM and Ted are both prisoners of an eternal stalemate. One an embodiment of rage, the other of despair. Seymor. I remember the first time I cried as an adult watching cartoons, and it was because of the Futurama episode, Jurassic Bark. Seymor Asses is just a dog, a scruffy loyal mutt owned by Fry. A good boy who follows Fry to work at Panucci's Pizza and waits outside for him every day. The kind of dog that doesn't need much, just to be near the person he loves. Then, Fry vanished, accidentally frozen in time, and Seymor stays behind in the year 2000. 1,000 years later, Fry learns that Seymor was fossilized and preserved. Fry has the opportunity to revive him, to be united with his best friend. However, he's told that Seymor lived for 12 more years after his disappearance. Believing Seymor had moved on and lived a full life after he disappeared, Fry chooses not to revive him. But Seymor didn't live a full life. In the episode's final moments, we see the truth. Seymor waited for Fry for 12 years, every single day outside the pizzeria. Through summer heat and winter snow, through pain, age, and time, until the world faded and so did he. Seymor's tragedy is simple and soul-crushing. He never stopped loving his friend, who would never come back. He never stopped waiting, and Fry never knew, so he didn't seize the opportunity to reunite them. Guts. In Kentaro Miura's Berserk, Guts is born from the corpse of his lynched mother after a village massacre. His first breath taken beneath the gallows. He's raised by a mercenary camp's prostitute who dies of plague when he's a child. Her partner adopts Guts, trains him to fight from age 6. Then he sells him for the night to a predator. Guts kills his adoptive father in self-defense shortly after, and all of this before his 10th birthday. By his teens, Guts is a lone child on bloody battlefields. Then comes the Band of the Hawk, camaraderie, love, and purpose. For once, he finds belonging, and then he loses everything. Griffith, his closest friend, sacrifices their army to become a godlike demon. Guts watches his comrades being slaughtered. He loses an arm and an eye, and watches Casca, the woman he loves, being violated and mentally broken by the man he once followed. Branded with a cursed mark, Guts is hunted by demons every night. Peace in life or death is denied to him. The world wants him destroyed, and it never stops coming. And yet, he fights. For Casca and for revenge. He's the embodiment of suffering, rage, and survival. A man stripped of everything, who keeps moving, not because he believes in hope, but because there's no other choice. Boromir. In Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, Boromir is often remembered as the man who tried to take the ring. But that single moment overshadows one of the most tragic and deeply human arcs in the entire story. Boromir isn't corrupted by ambition or lust for power. He's burdened by duty. As the steward of Gondor's eldest son, he spent his life in a kingdom under siege, watching his people bleed to defend a crumbling wall against darkness, with no aid, no hope, and no end in sight. Then he's told salvation lies not in strength, but in letting a fragile, barefoot stranger carry the one weapon that might save them. And he accepts it. He joins the fellowship, he protects Frodo, and he follows the plan. But the ring knows his heart, full of love for his land, his father, his brother, and full of fear that he'll fail them. It whispers to him, and it wears him down. And in a single moment, Boromir breaks. The ring overwhelms him, and he tries to take it from Frodo. Boromir was not himself, and his actions were not his own. Horrified, he searches for Frodo, not to take the ring, but to protect him. When he can't find him, he finds Merry and Pippin, and gives his life defending them. For all his mistakes, for all his weakness, Boromir dies the way he lived, trying to protect others. Ned Stark. If your character's played by Sean Bean, you're gonna have a bad time. In George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, Eddard Stark is the Warden of the North, a man defined by duty, loyalty, and honor, and that's exactly what gets him killed. When his old friend King Robert Baratheon names him Hand of the King, Ned leaves the North, his home, and walks straight into the Viper's Nest of King's Landing. He arrives at court thinking truth and loyalty still matter. It doesn't. Ned's tragedy is hubris, not the kind born of ego, but of moral certainty. He assumes others are bound by honor, that people like Littlefinger and Cersei play by the same rules as him. They don't, and Ned can't and won't play politics. When Robert dies, Ned rejects real power, Renly's army, for what's lawful. He tries to install the rightful heir. He warns his enemies before making a move, giving them time to strike first. He's imprisoned, betrayed, and publicly executed. Not for treason, but for telling the truth too early and trusting the wrong people to care. And beneath it all is a deeper secret. Ned dies as a dishonorable man for raising a bastard, but the boy, Jon Snow, is his nephew, the true-born son of his dying sister. Ned stained his own name to protect him, to honor her last words. Promise me, Ned. Ned Stark's tragedy isn't just that he died for honor, it's that no one truly knew how much he sacrificed to keep it. Prometheus. In Aeschylus's ancient Greek tragedy, Prometheus Bound, Prometheus is the original rebel, a titan who defies Zeus not out of pride, but out of compassion for humanity. He sees mortals suffering, dying in ignorance, cold and hungry. So he steals fire from the gods and gives it to mankind. Fire brings warmth, knowledge, power, civilization itself. Prometheus gave humanity a future, and for that, he is punished without end. Zeus has him chained to a rock at the edge of the world. Every day, an eagle tears out his liver. Every night, it grows back. Immortal, Prometheus suffers endlessly for a single act of mercy. Yet Prometheus is unrepentant. He refuses to apologize. He will not submit. And what makes him truly tragic is this. He knew it would happen. He chose it. He believes in his cause so fully that he endures eternal torment rather than betray it. Prometheus is the original martyr, a divine being who chose pain so others could thrive. He brought fire to a dark world and was left alone in the cold. Sidney Carton. In Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, Sidney Carton is a man who seems beyond redemption, a legal genius who lets others take credit for his work since he is too busy with drinking and apathy. A man with no ambition and no purpose. By all accounts, he's a failure. Then he meets Lucy Manette, and everything changes. He falls in love with her, the kind of selfless love that will make you do anything. For the first time, he wants to be better, to be worthy of loving her. But Lucy marries Charles Darnay, a man who looks just like Carton, but represents everything Carton believes he'll never be. Honorable, respectable, loved. When Darnay is imprisoned during the French Revolution and sentenced to death, Carton makes a choice. He uses their resemblance to take Darnay's place at the guillotine. He sacrifices his life to ensure that Lucy can live in peace with her family. It's not just a sacrifice. It's the first truly purposeful act of his life. His final thoughts: "It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done," aren't poetic exaggeration. They're the simple truth of a man who, in death, finally becomes everything he wished he had been in life. Sidney Carton dies with no legacy, no recognition, and no reward, except knowing that he mattered, that he saved a life, that he became, at last, someone worth remembering, at least by the woman he loved. Itachi Uchiha in Naruto. Itachi Uchiha is remembered as a traitor, a murderer, and the man who slaughtered his entire clan. But the truth is far more complicated and far more tragic. Itachi was a prodigy, a shinobi who saw the horrors of war too early. When his clan plotted a coup that would ignite a civil war, Itachi was given an impossible choice: loyalty to his family or to the village. He chose the village. He killed his own people to stop a war, leaving only one survivor, his little brother, Sasuke. But Itachi didn't just let Sasuke live. He broke him, he tortured him, and manipulated his emotions, and fed him lies, all to make him strong, to be able to take care of himself. He made himself the villain in his brother's life, so Sasuke could live. Itachi lived in exile, branded a criminal, joining the Akatsuki to act as a double agent, all while carrying the guilt of what he'd done. When Sasuke finally kills him, Itachi dies smiling, his final act of love. Only after his death is the truth revealed. He wasn't a monster. He was a man who gave up everything: his honor, his peace, his future, to protect the very people who would never know. Okay, so that was part 2. Let me know in the comments which character you find most tragic and why. Thanks for watching. Cheers.